The following is a production of MSGPR.
Jan just mentioned we're going to let each candidate have 5 minutes to speak, and then we'll get to the Q&A. So without further ado, Scott Cooper.
Good evening. How are y'all this evening? I'm Scott Cooper. I'm your County Commissioner for Precinct 4, and I've been in the office for about 3.5 years now. And I'd like to take the opportunity to give you a few pointers about what I've been able to accomplish and some of the things about me so you can make an educated decision on the election coming up in May. Like I said, I've been in office for about 3.5 years, and in that time I have executed all the duties of a commissioner, which are very diverse. Primarily what everybody sees is our road work. I have a crew of employees, of which currently I have 10, and I have a budget of $1.1 million to apply to repairing the roads. That might sound like a lot, but when you consider that Precinct 4 has 237 road miles that have to be maintained. In other words, you can drive to Houston and back before you can drive the roads on Angelina County, and you can do those at 60 miles an hour versus ours at 30. Also, in that time, I've worked on 3 county budgets, and the county budgets for Angelina County actually total up to about $34 million between all the various budgets. And trying to keep those dollars that you spend effectively used is a very difficult process sometimes, because prices go up, costs go up, but we don't want to raise your taxes unless absolutely necessary. And we've been able to do a very good job, myself and the rest of the Commissioners Court, keeping your taxes low over these last 3 years, and I plan to continue to do that over the next term, should you wish to re-elect me, which I hope so. Some things that happened when I campaigned last time, I promised to put Diboll back together. Y'all may remember 4 years ago, Diboll was split between Commissioner Precinct 4 and Commissioner Precinct 1. One of my campaign promises was to unite them into the same Commissioner's Precinct. During our redistricting, I was able to do that. So I put it all back into Precinct 4. It is now under one commissioner. It has one voice. It is no longer split between Precinct 1 and 4. You have a united voice, and so I kept that promise. I just wanted to let you know that. Some other things on the roads is that we have scheduled several projects. We've completed in Burke repairs to both Tidwell and Felix Weeks. Those were contracted with the city, which we were able to do once we got that side of the highway back. We're also planning some development in the Burkhalter Hollow area, as well as, of course, y'all have seen the nice improvements to Old Diboll Highway, which was actually a grant from the federal government through the 2 hurricanes, and we were able to apply it. And I oversaw the county portion of that repairs, which we had to do a few things before they could even start that project. It's almost done. Got to repair the bridge railings, and then we will be able to cut the ribbon. Some other things about myself is we're ongoing training. I have completed, as of next, about 3 weeks from now, the Commissioner Court Advanced Certification. This is an educational program that goes above and beyond the required education of 16 hours that every commissioner must take. It's a 4-year program, which I've been able to complete in about 3.5 years. I'm kind of proud of that, so I want to let you know that I've continued the educational of myself. Also, my employees, we're continuing the education of them as well. We've had safety classes to make sure that they're operating equipment safely, and we'll be having a maintainer training course for this next month to improve their skills on our maintainers so that they know the new techniques, the current best practices. So increasing on education, maintaining your budget, keeping your tax dollars down, and those are just some of the things. Some of the lesser known things that a commissioner does is he represents you not only in your precinct and on the Commissioner's Court, where we do all the legal actions and take care of our insurance, our health plans, the budget, is we represent you in Austin. Every 2 years, the state legislature meets, and they are notorious for making rules and regulations and saying the counties and school districts must, what they say, shall do this. If we are not diligent in representing Angelina County and our interests, they're going to tell us we must do this. And oh, by the way, we aren't giving you any money to do it, so guess who gets to raise the taxes? We do. So unless we're diligent in working with that, I have a solid working relationship with Trent Ashby, our current state representative, with James White, our previous state representative, and Senator Nichols. I talk to them all 3 regularly, and we're going to have some serious fights on our hands because the Senate is going to have a major change of leadership. And as that new leadership comes in, we have to be there to inform them of what they should be doing to help counties and not harm them. A little bit of personal history so I can wrap this up pretty quick. I'm married to my wife, Chris Cooper, for 15 years. We're members of Southside Baptist Church. I used to work for Channel 9 News for 18 years, covering the news of East Texas, school boards, school districts, city, county government, state government. I was pretty well educated on what it took to be a commissioner when I got into the job, and still there was much more to learn. It's a constant learning curve, and you really don't have time to play catch up. You've got to hit the ground running. I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, been so for a decade. I'm on the board of the appraisal district, the advisory committee for the Boys and Girls Club. I have a private pilot's license. When I get to fly, I try to fly. And I also have a Class B CDL so that I can drive most of our equipment. And I've had training, of course, on our equipment, my maintainers. I don't drive, but our backhoes, loaders, the non-super complex equipment that requires specific training to do. How much time do I got left? I'm at it? All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Next on the Commissioner's ballot, Bobby Cheshire.
Thank you all for coming. I'm Bobby Cheshire. I'm a candidate for Commissioner Precinct 4. It's nice to be in front of a hometown crowd. This Commissioner's race has been very long, and I think both my opponent and I are ready for it to be over with. And I appreciate all your support. Born and raised here in Diboll. This has been my home, and this is where I'm raising my family as well. My wife and I have been married for 12 years, a little over 12 years, and we have 4 children together, and we have custody of our niece, who we're very proud to have in our family as well. The skills that I bring to the job are vast. I have public service experience in law enforcement. I have business experience as a business owner, business operator. I have a Class A CDL, which means that I can operate any and all equipment that the county owns and operates. I don't claim to know everything about the job, but my learning curve will be very short, within 60 days. And I intend to use my business practices that I've been successful with in the past as commissioner, if you elect me. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cheshire. Now we're going to move to school board. We're going to start off with Mr. Keith Whitworth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who don't know me, as he said, my name is Eric Keith Whitworth. I work at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in the Maintenance Department. I'm married to my wife, Danielle Farley Whitworth, and she's at work right now. She's a pediatric nurse, and I would have liked to see a lot more people out here tonight, because I feel like if I'm going to be nervous, I should at least reach a lot of people. Anyway, I have 2 sons. My oldest son, Ryan, he graduated from Diboll. In his first year, or first semester in college, he got hurt in football, decided to go on a full-time mission, church mission, that is, 2 years full-time. We did not see our son for 2 years. He come back a different man, very mature, more mature. 6 months later, he was married, had 2 jobs, and his work ethics that I hope I instilled in him, his mom for sure, and his grandparents. He works 2 jobs. He works about 70 to 80 hours a week. My youngest son, Kalen Whitworth, he's a sophomore over at the high school, plays football. He plays the guitar very well, I might add. Heavenly Father has blessed us a lot, my family. And he has blessed me with the opportunity to have grown up here and to have been able to raise my children in such a wonderful place. I know that we're not supposed to be proudful, but I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of my boys, and I'm pleased to see what they have become. My parents are Melvin and Gail Whitworth. My in-laws are Tom and Janice Farley. All have been in Diboll for many, many years. My father-in-law and my dad were both raised here from day one. Their fathers before them were here much of their lives. I have very deep roots in this community of Diboll, and I hope to see my grandchildren grow up here if my son and his wife will get busy quickly. I first thought of running for school board about 11 years ago. I had surgery on my shoulder, sitting around the house bored, couldn't go back to work for a while. So I decided to be a substitute teacher. It doesn't look like many of you know me from my youngster days, but it was funny to all of my friends. Keith, a substitute teacher? Well, it didn't take, it took me about 30 minutes to learn and realize that our teachers, I had a new respect for our teachers. And it took me about 30 minutes to realize the support that they have to be successful in teaching our children. They have to have my support, school board support, parents, all the parents, the principals, the superintendents. They need our support, people. It's not an easy job, if it's a job at all. I think it's a calling from above in many cases. I did finish out the year, surprisingly, as a substitute. And it was confirmed, my long-held belief that our teachers need our support if they were to be successful in teaching our children. Our teachers are the backbone of this district. They are the ones who on a daily basis are face-to-face with our children. They work with our kids, and whether it be academic or whether it be a disciplinary decision, we need to support them. The teachers deserve the support and respect of all of us. And I think this support is vital to our children's education. I believe that this support would boost the morale and the staff to a higher level. So let's put a little faith in the abilities and the talents of our teachers that have been well educated and are experienced in what they do. Just a little bit on morale. I think we use that word loosely. But in the workforce, the bad stuff, it comes downhill, doesn't it? Who's at the bottom of this hill? Our children are at the bottom of this hill. Now, good stuff comes down that hill too. I'm not saying we have bad morale. I'm just saying how important it is. And if we do have it, we got to fix it. And we will, if I'm elected. We will start to try and fix it. Most importantly, oh, okay. I want to help finish, but let me go. I'm reading a lot because I'm nervous. Anyway, our students should be prepared for college academically or prepared for the workforce as skilled applicants. We should make sure that they know about it and they utilize the resources that are put there to help them be prepared for college and the workforce. I want to thank each and every one of you tonight for coming and caring about our school district, caring about our community, and most of all, caring about these kids. God bless you and your families. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Whitworth. Next, we have Mr. Ronnie Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight to support this candidate forum. I am Ronnie Coleman. I currently serve as the Vice President of the Diboll ISD Board of Trustees. I've been doing this for a number of years. I'm a Diboll born and bred and raised young man. I have 4 children, 3 of which have already graduated Diboll ISD and have gone on to college. My oldest, Ronnie Jr., is a professional musician and a minister of music for a church in Houston. My son, Jonathan, is a senior at University of Houston. Go Cougs. Will be graduating from Diboll ISD. He left Diboll ISD on a full academic scholarship to the University of Houston. Hats off to our teachers and our staff at Diboll for putting forth an effort into my child to go and be a better young man. He's going to be graduating with a computer science and engineering major. Our youngest son, Calvin, who graduated on last year from Diboll, is currently a sophomore at Sam Houston State University in the field of business. Our youngest, Ashley, is a junior here at Diboll ISD and currently doing the dual classes at Angelina College. My wife, Lamona Coleman, who's present here, is currently the assistant principal here at this fine facility that we're in right now. I bring to the table a man who has done a lot of continuing education, not only for Diboll and group counseling and group sessions and leadership and policy and procedure and finance. I've also gone to the conferences held by TASB, the State Board of School Board, and learned from them. I do a lot of continuing education on my own. I am a full-time pastor at the Providence Baptist Church of Leggett, Texas, where I have been pastoring for 16 years. I'm very involved in the city of Diboll. I currently serve as the chair of the Diboll Boys and Girls Club Board of Advisory. I am on the executive board of directors for the Diboll Boys and Girls Club in the entire Angelina County, East Texas area. I'm a people person. The young people can come and talk with me about school issues or about personal issues. I try to volunteer at the schools and show forth a positive attitude. I support the teachers as well as our current school board. We are a group that backs our teachers. We back our students. We try to show them support. I personally not only attend football games and basketball games, but when I'm aware of it and health can allow me to be there, I go to academic events, I go to ag events, I go to shows and contests to show the children of Diboll that I'm concerned about them and what they are involved in. Our school board is not just a group of people who sit and pay the bills. We're faces in the community that the people can come to and talk to about issues, and when they come with their issues, we as individuals do not address and take care of those, but we as a group make decisions that affect not only the students, but the staff of Diboll ISD. And we put forth an effort to be together in everything that we do. We agree sometimes to disagree, and that is part of the learning process, and that's part of Diboll. As unique as Diboll is, our student population is just as unique as the board of directors, or the board of trustees, or the school board, however you want to put it. We're just that way, and we need someone in the board, on the board, in the community, that the community feel like they can come to and talk to, and that their issues will be addressed in a timely manner. And we try to put forth that effort to do that, to show positive. We support our teachers, we support our principals, we support the disciplines, we support the policies and the procedures that go on at Diboll ISD. So I ask you to support me in re-electing Ronnie Coleman, number 3 on the ballot, for Diboll ISD School Board of Trustees. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Coleman. And lastly, for school board, we're going to ask Trey Wilkerson to come. As he's coming, I want to remind you that if you have the cards for the questions after Trey, we're going to ask the questions to the candidates. So if you have those, we'll be taking those here momentarily.
My daughter Annabeth is 8 years old. She's here at second grader in Diboll. And the other night I was helping her with her homework. By the way, that's something I recommend that all school board candidates do at some point. It's a good experience. But we were working on it, and in the process of things, she had packed some stuff up and got some other stuff out, and I wasn't real sure what she was doing. And she said, "Well, Daddy, I'm being a problem solver." And so we talked a little bit about what that meant, and she was being proactive. She was thinking ahead, what she might need next, what we might need to take care of some issue. And so, of course, I told her I was real proud of her for doing that, and I thought that was a great thing. But it got me to thinking, I know the Bible says that we should become like little children, and although I'm sure that was talking in a spiritual sense, this statement here made me start thinking about how my role as a school board member needs to be in that light. I need to be a problem solver, and I think that I have been. I've worked on this for a long time, and I hope that those things have come out. But I've got some qualities that I think will help me over the next 3 years, this term that we're running for right now, to serve in that role, to be a problem solver for our schools. First of all, there's the experience. I've been a board member now for about 14 years. That doesn't mean I know everything. In fact, it means I know a lot of the mistakes you can make as a board member in some cases. But because I've been there for 14 years, I've worked with 20 different school board members at some point in time during that time period. I've worked with 5 different superintendents. And so that means there's been some different ways of doing things, some different communication styles. Sometimes we've had to figure out ways to make things work. And so I've learned from those experiences. Mr. Coleman just referenced the ability to communicate, to whether we agree to disagree. And at some point in that time period, I've been on the same side as every one of those 20 other members, and I have been on the other side as every one of those members. But we've always managed to keep things moving forward for Diboll. So I think that's one of the skills that I can bring, one of the qualities that I can bring to help be a problem solver is the experience that I have as a board member. Second thing is the dedication. When you get a role like this, you've got to show up and work. That's the first thing you got to do. If you're not going to show up and be a part of the process, then you're not doing any good. Our school board has a great record. You compare it to a lot of councils and boards out there. The attendance is good, and it's not just the board meetings itself, but it's all of the other things. We've got committee meetings. You've got a lot of homework you need to do if you're going to be a good board member. You need to read ahead of time. Don't show up at the meeting and try to figure it out. You've got to do all of that ahead of time. Make sure you're informed and knowledgeable about the issues. And that's something I've been doing for a long time now, and something that I will continue to do. The other part of that is that it's not just about knowing the stuff that's maybe on paper or the stuff that's brought to you in a meeting, but it's being involved in the community so that you know how that fits with Diboll, with our people, with our kids. Being out there and involved, whether it's going to the variety of school events, from the athletic to the academic or the ag or the culinary, any of those type of events, going to those events and getting around people and finding out what everybody's interested in, but also being involved in our town, being involved with our business community. I took a business that was in Diboll for 30 years, in Lufkin for 30 years, moved it to Diboll because I wanted to be more a part of this community. And so that's one of the things that I can do, is be involved with the business community as well as the civic club, Christian outreach, and some of those type of things. So that dedication is another quality that I bring that I hope makes me a better school board member, and I think will make me a better member over the next 3 years. The third item is passion. Now, every person who runs for any of these offices is passionate about something. I've said before that nobody runs for school board unless they're mad about something, and everybody always disagrees with me, so y'all don't start throwing things. But the concept is not so much anger, but passion, something that's getting you interested in being a part of it. So everybody has that to a degree, but after 14 years, some people start to lose it. I think anybody that's been in a meeting, been around me discussing school stuff, will know that I haven't lost any of that passion. In fact, most of the problems that I've ever caused have been for an abundance of the passion. And so that's something that I still have, is a passion for Diboll, for our kids. Mr. Coleman mentioned briefly the diversity of opinions and skills and perspectives on the board. And I think that is so important in those passions. Everybody can't be excited about everything, but there's a lot of things that need attention. And so I think that's very important to have these different approaches, different things that people are pushing forward. And so sometimes there's some issues that get a lot of attention. They are, for lack of a better word, the sexy issues. They get all of the play. Well, everybody can get excited about those and try to fix those issues, but there's a lot of things that don't get that attention that are also very important, and so I can keep focusing on those. In conclusion, Merle Haggard, my favorite country singer, sings a song, says, "I take a lot of pride in what I am." I don't know if I should take pride in what I am, but here's what I am: experienced, dedicated, passionate. I bring all of those to bear every time that I work on anything for the school, and with your support, I'll continue to use those to be a problem solver for Diboll ISD.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. All right, we'll take these questions. Does everyone have a chance to turn theirs in? If I understand correctly, the only questions that will be asked will be the ones that are written. We won't do any verbal Q&A, so this will be it tonight. Each question will be to either the commission or the school board. You'll have 30 seconds to respond. Approximately 30 seconds, I'll get up and let you know. All right, this first question is for commissioners. Most people relate the commissioner's job strictly to road maintenance. However, since the commissioner's court is the governing body for the county, members must take care of other business. What specific experience do you have that makes you the best qualified candidate for this job?
Pretty exemplary experience. I've been on the Commissioner's Court for 3.5 years, so that gives me an insight that only a commissioner has on how the operations go. Commissioners have responsibility for roads, insurance, budget, relationships with the county, the citizens of the county. It's a multifaceted, very diverse skill set that you need in order to communicate with school districts, with cities, with the citizens. Precinct 4 ranges from Zavala all the way over into Lufkin. It includes part or all of 4 school districts of the Angelina County and all or part of 4 cities in Angelina County. That takes a lot of time to learn those areas and what's important to all those people and bring that knowledge to the Commissioner's Court.
Mr. Cheshire, sorry, I was going to go to the next question.
My experience in dealing with business of the county is somewhat limited to the fact that I haven't been in public service as an elected official before, which I believe is an asset at this point in time in our political atmosphere that we all face. It needs to have a new direction, and my experience in law enforcement gave me the opportunity to work with other agencies in everything from schools to municipalities and in county government. My business in personal business and my relationships that I carried on while in business, where I interacted with other businesses and dealing with them to be prosperous is very much an asset that I would bring to the office.
Okay, the next 2 questions are both for the commissioners, and the last 3 questions are for school board. So to the commissioners, what is the main responsibility of a commissioner?
The main responsibility of the commissioner is to be responsible to the people. As I said before, it's a very diverse area, and you have to listen and listen to what everybody has to say so that you can further those goals. The administrative tasks are what are done on the Commissioner's Court. The maintenance tasks are done in the roads. But it's the people and their goals and their desires to improve and grow the county or their community or their school. That's what the Commissioner's most important goal is. He is the elected official that is closest to the people. Past the Commissioner, you go to the state, and then you go to the nation. It's the closest you're going to get to have a voice in what happens in state and county and federal government. And that's why you are the most important part, and I am your eyes and ears, and I communicate with you because you are the leaders of the community.
I believe the most important job for a commissioner is to be able to manage where your tax dollars are being utilized. We can sit across the table and meet and discuss and open ourselves up to new ideas, but having the ability to manage our tax dollars, keeping our tax dollars at a reasonable rate, those are strong assets I believe that I would have and bring to the office.
Okay, this actually, there's 2 more questions for the commissioners. So the first one would be, during first primary election, candidates agreed there needed to be a plan for road repair. Why has this not been implemented before, and or why or how will you get it implemented now?
The road repair is based upon commissioner precincts. So each commissioner has his own goals and directions. Sometimes those goals are dictated by the funds you have available. If you're playing day by day what you're going to do, and that's your goal, that's what previous commissioners have done. I have set out on a long-term plan to see what we're going to be doing based upon the budget. Set aside monies to improve our equipment so that we can do more with less. Have more money set aside for materials, less money on employees, so that we target it. It takes time to build those. It's taken me 3 years to get to the point now where I bought the equipment that I need to start the next phase. So it takes 4 to 6 years to really get things going. And you have to have the long-term plan. That's what I have, that's what I've initiated, and hopefully that's what I'll be able to continue on with.
Okay. During the first primary election, candidates agreed there needed to be a plan for road repair. Why has this not been implemented before, and how will you implement it now?
Well, I haven't had a chance to implement one, but I do have one. My goal at day one, if elected, would, particular point of interest is FM 819 from where county takes over maintenance at the end of it, and extend that road to 1818. That road is heavily traveled by a lot of citizenry on 1818, and it needs constant repair. I have spoke with several state representatives about this matter. I've also spoke with several TxDOT individuals who seem to be interested that this is possibly an avenue that we could get the road turned into the county portion of the road turned into a state maintained road, and it would utilize the citizens of Pine Grove, and would utilize that road to travel with on a daily basis. The other part of my program that I would implement at day one would be to have an alignment set up on which roads are most in need of repair. There are several roads inside the city limits of Zavala, Campus Drive, Barge Road, those kind of things. The city's council of Zavala is working desperately wanting those roads repaired, and they've needed that road repair for quite a long time. Buttermilk Road would be another road of high priority, and we would look at the roads that are in most disrepair at this moment to put it to the top of the list to be repaired.
Okay, last question for commissioners. What percentage of budget is or should be spent on the Diboll area?
Percentage of the budget. I have a $1.1 million budget, of which about $600,000 go into personnel. Of that, you have to divide it out amongst the communities. As Bobby said, you have to evaluate each road and determine which ones are in dire need, ones are in need. I was planning to do a road project in Diboll, which was the Burkhalter Hollow area. This year, because of all the nasty rains and stuff, that's been changed and put down because Nealon Road just fell apart on us. We had some serious destruction of that road due to the weather. So you're constantly changing. Percentage-wise, you really have difficulty saying this amount of dollars go here and this amount of dollars go there. All the roads have to be evaluated on the traffic level, the amount of personnel, people that live on the roads, and the type of road it is based upon usage. If it's a logging road, if it's a city road. So it's always evaluated, one versus the other. I don't play favorites. You can't play favorites as a commissioner. You have to look at the needs of the communities, what those roads are for, and apply the dollars as best as possible. And it will change on you, just like we had when Nealon Road fell apart, completely changed what my summer plans are going to be this year. Thank you.
I don't believe you can put a percentage on what percent of a budget goes to a particular project. That would be foolish government. I think on an as-need basis, you have to look at the most needful project, and that's where your money would be spent.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now we're going to ask the school board their questions. The first, what is the biggest accomplishment of the board this past year? And I don't know if you want to go, you want to take up, you're trying to get on, go ahead, sir.
Most popular one was hiring an athletic director. I don't know what the most big was. I wasn't there. And I hadn't, been there to a meeting in a while, and I should have been going. But I just wanted to get up here because I was tired of sitting. But anyway, I don't know.
It is very difficult to say what the biggest accomplishment, because we're a work in progress. You never complete a job as a board member or as a school. It's a work in progress. We are proud of our students being successful. We're proud of this facility that has taken place, the community of Diboll has put together. I'm proud that we've kept our staff, our superintendent, our principals in place, our employees. We don't have a big turnover ratio. We're working on our dropout rate. We're working on getting things in place to help the students that are falling short on STAR exams and these end-of-course exams. The academies that they're putting together, these principals are working diligent with their staff members to see our children succeed. So as far as I'm concerned, our biggest accomplishment, if we raise our standards and one more kid passes a test, that is the biggest accomplishment that Diboll could do. One kid not fail.
Last summer, the board adopted a group of what we called priorities. They were kind of a goal document, and that was a thing that we said, these are the things that we think are important. Now, the reason I'm proud of that and the reason I think that is a big accomplishment is because it was full of big, important stuff. School boards way too often get bogged down in the little details, the things that are distractions and end up not being productive and useful for the community. That document was full of big, important stuff that's good for kids, good for Diboll, and good for our future, and I think it was a real testament to the board that that was adopted.
All right. And we're going to alternate the time you guys come up. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Appreciate that. All right. This is a two-part question, and we'll go ahead and let you answer them both when you get up here. So you want to be a school board member, or are you crazy? First question. Second question. We are going after a grant for a career and tech building. If we don't get it, is this something we should go after with a bond? Mr. Coleman?
Obviously, I'm running for re-election, so yes, I am crazy. You're an elected official, you receive no compensation, but you receive a lot of criticism. Whatever you do that is done right and that pleases people, someone always finds fault in what you're doing. But because I'm concerned about Diboll ISD, I continue to come and take the punishment. So yes, I'm crazy about Diboll. Second part of that question?
We are going after a grant for a career and tech building. If we don't get it, is this something we should go after with a bond?
Bond elections or bonds being put forth is something that the community has to have a say-so in. And I would be foolish to say, yeah, we'll go after a bond, because someone will put that in the paper and someone will say, Ronnie Coleman said that we need to go after a bond. If the community feels that the need, as we portray to the community, the need for the career and tech building, then that's an avenue that we can explore. But we're trying now to get our kids forward. Everybody's not going to go to college. Everybody's not going to go to Angelina. No, everyone's not going to go to Stephen F. Austin and various other universities. We have to have skilled workers that are going to go be welders, going to go chefs, going to go be phlebotomists, going to be x-ray techs. And if we can give those young people a leg up and the experience, I think that, yes, we should try to do what we can to help the community. And as far as the failing of the financing, I don't write grants. We have grant writers that do that. The foundation, we can go Keeler Grant, we can go the Temple Foundation, or maybe we'll have a big donor somewhere out of the blue to come and say, here, Diboll ISD, build this building. But we're going to try to do whatever's best for our children and keep our tax rate as low as possible so we can supply. So yes, if it fails, we'll explore our options and see what we can do to bring this thing to fruition. Thank you.
Well, to answer the first question, if I'm not crazy, I will be, I guess. So that's part of it. On the technology bill, and I think that's a great thing. It can be a really good thing for Diboll. House Bill 5 is changing some things and making vocational technology a bigger priority. Diboll had already started trying to make that a focus, and so it's something that's very important. I hope that the foundation will come through on the funding on that. I hope that will be a good thing. When we went to make that request, my words were, if they don't pay for it, we don't have another avenue. If you're perfectly honest, you cannot reasonably financially do a $2 or $3 million bond. It doesn't make sense financially. You're ending up paying 7 or 8% interest, which for a school district ought to be paying 3%, and that's just nuts. So we can't do a $2 or $3 million bond. If there's some other need and it can be packaged, then obviously that could be a part of it. But just from being here and knowing the realities, I can tell you that's not a reality by itself. As part of something else, it's something that certainly could be explored if the community felt like that was a good thing for us.
I may be a little bit crazy, not a whole lot, but I have to agree with a little bit of what both of these guys said. When I walked through the school out there, it said whatever it takes for these kids and for our children. Like he said, it's not feasible for a $2 million bond. Financially, that would be pretty rough on the school district. But at the same time, you want the best for your children. So you would do whatever it takes to make this happen. And hopefully we will get the grant. But if we don't, we'll have to go from there. Thank you.
Okay, last question. There was a story in the newspaper which indicated Diboll High School was in last place this year in UIL academic competition. What will you do personally and specifically to see that this does not happen again? Start with Mr. Wilkerson.
Well, I don't think that's any fairer than just Diboll was last in any other academic or athletic endeavor. But I think Mr. Treacle, Mr. Martell, they've met with me before. They recognize the passion, as I mentioned earlier, about that in particular, in addition to a lot of other areas. And I think that is how you make changes in those kind of things. You let people know it's important. If it's important, and if you're willing to commit to it yourself, if they need somebody to come over to the high school and help coach number sense, I'll come over there and help coach number sense. So if that's a priority, then I'll make sure that we make it a priority.
We'll have to take the easy way out again. I do agree with him that if it's a priority, we need to make it a priority, and we'll have to look into it and see what caused us to be in last. I think academics is the most important thing that we should strive for in any public school, and especially our district, because this is what we're zoned in on right now. But if it's a problem, then if elected with these guys, it would be our job with the superintendent and input from other administrators and staff to figure out what we can do to fix the problem. Thank you.
right, I'm gonna be Ronnie Coleman for just a moment. I can't fix what somebody put in the paper. Can't do that. They written the article. Okay, that was their opinion. I don't look for negative. I look for the positive. We had children to participate. We had children that did good in their categories. Why don't we focus on the positive rather than the negative? Anyone can write an article and put something negative, but it takes a bigger person to write an article and put something positive to show that our kids are being successful. I personally can't do anything about whoever wrote the article and how people react to it, but if they say something and I know the facts, I can also say, well, that might have happened. We come in that place. Well, what about this particular child who scored third, or this one that came second? Show the positive things rather than negative. The only way that we can trash our schools is if we trash our schools. The only way we can make our schools be in the limelight if we put our schools in the limelight. Thank you.
Let's give our candidates a round of applause. We appreciate them giving their time tonight. Thank you for coming out tonight and hearing them out. Jan, do you have any closing remarks that you want to make? Yes. Thank y'all very much. Have a great evening. God bless.